Cool. All right, guys, you're welcome to the Views from the Stand. The gladiators are here. I'm just on the sideway trying to control traffic today. I will leave my bosses to decide where the flow of the conversation goes. But I just want to have a simple question for everybody. China, let me start with you. Name your top three comedians, whether from Africa, from Nigeria, from the world. Top three.
Top three comedians from Nigeria. Basket Mouth, Ali Baba, and what's this guy that was on Honest Bunch last week?
I'm not sure I saw Honest Bunch last week.
Okay, Bakassi. Okay, Bakassi.
Oh, okay. Senior man. All right, those are your top three. Nigerian, global.
Global. Their names just left my head. I can see them in my mind's eye right now, but their name just left my head. Yeah.
Let me go to Marcus, Barrister Marcus. Top three comedians.
Mm, I mean, for sure, basketball. I always remember I think that is joke. There are two things involved.
There are two
If
things
you are this, you are
involved.
safe. If you are this, then there are two things involved. Yeah, that's a classic. And I also like, what is it, Fluffy? Fluffy. I think that's an American comedian. Then probably Dave Chappelle. Yeah, those are my three.
Beeb Ayodeji. Top three comedians.
Dave Chappelle, Andrew Shop, and
And the shop is good.
I think probably Trevor Noah. I like comedians who are very edgy and they
Dave
like
Chappelle. That was one name I forgot. Dave Chappelle.
All right.
comedians who are very, yeah, I
Okay.
like
No,
those
you were saying
comedians.
something. Go ahead. We're very edgy.
And they like make political jokes, like, comedians who are not afraid to like make political jokes in a subtle way and probably stir waters and cause controversies.
Okay. Mario.
He's not scared to do that because he's not living in any African country, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, very
Oh,
tough one for me, of course. I mean, you won't recognize or know any one of them. Obviously, very similar to what Habib was saying. I like obviously, I mean, satirical or kind of controversial comedians who kind of unlock the truth, yeah, in a funny way, because
Yeah.
obviously they state something very serious, a serious measure, but yet bringing over in a fun way and saying, yeah, yeah, politicians get away with this and that, but there's a lot of truth behind. So, yeah, and there was the all Germans, because obviously when you are into yeah, societies and economy and politics, obviously then you don't go far abroad, because obviously you don't know the reality and the truth. I'm a fact-based kind of person, and therefore I don't kind of mingle around and kind of share things which are shady, yeah, not confirmed. So therefore, I kind of stay out of controversial items, and I kind of glean. I mean, like bold-headed guys, yeah, they kind of get away with things.
Okay. For me, I've got a lot because I lean on comedy a lot, from Richard Pryor to Chris Rock. But if I have to pick three, Benny Mac is on top of that pile. Benny Mac is number one. I'm not a Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean kind of guy. I love Dave Chappelle. I would never forget his take on the LGBTQ. That's one of my favorite take. And then I love Benny Mac number one, Dave Chappelle number two. Number three, I love Bovey. I think he's the most intelligent Nigerian comedian. But I'm living with Eddie Griffin. Eddie Griffin, Dysfunctional Family. So those three are my top three globally. Nigeria, obviously, Bovey number one. Okay, Bakassi number two. I love a lot of the other comedians. I don't like putting Ali Baba in comedy anymore. I think he's my lecturer is bigger than comedy. But I'm going to put I love Funny Bone. I love. No, let's leave those two. The other ones, they'll watch this video and come and fight me. Let me leave those two. Uh, let's talk about football today. Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund. It was 1-1. I thought Borussia Dortmund would use that opportunity, to grind the result and pick up all 3 points. That did not happen. Barcelona was flicking everybody, on one flick. They were taking everybody out. But in the last 3 games, it's not been so. It's been tough. And Real Madrid, that seemed to have been said to have a bad season, is beginning to look like they are going to overrun FC Barcelona. In England, the slot machine is paying at big time bonuses and everything. No wonder China is looking all ancestral, magisterial, traditional, and all that. But that's no problem. I thought that Man City were going to come into this, but then Arsenal are also on the revival band. Manchester United are doing the Lord's work. In Italy, Antonio Conte's machine is grinding a little bit, not winning the way they expect them. But I mean, 103 point, not a bad one for them if you consider the fact that Juventus drew 1-1. And in France, too, Monaco were beaten by Montpellier. Paris Saint-Germain are still on top of the pile. All of these are what we're going to talk about if time permits us. But let me hit the ground running. And I'm going to start with you, Mario. There is a heated talk about who deserved to be African Footballer of the Year. Ademola Lookman and the others. Brahim Diaz, I don't think he should even be in the top level. I thought that the player that should be there should be Sergei Gurisi, the guy that played for, I think he's gone to Dortmund now. It was at Eintracht Frankfurt last season, if I'm not mistaken.
VfB Stuttgart.
Stuttgart, sorry. VfB Stuttgart. And here we are, different conversation around him. What's your own take on the African Footballer of the Year?
Before coming to the African Footballer of the Year, I probably switched to the Global Footballer of the Year and the discussion of Vini Junior and Rodri. And obviously for me, to make a Footballer of the Year or an African Footballer of the Year, he both needs to deliver both on his club level, which is his job, his duties, where he's very active for about 300 days of the year. And also he needs to perform on international level. And for me, the discussion, obviously, when you see Rodri versus Vini Junior, what is the success story of Vini Junior in the Brazilian national team? I mean, we have that discussion with Victor Boniface in the Super Eagles camp, that he's like a shadow of himself at the Super Eagles shirt and delivers and performs and outstands kind of at Bayer Leverkusen week after week. So for me, it's both, because obviously it shows the adoption of the personality to the different circumstances, that obviously he's a star player of his team at the club level, and he needs to kind of mingle with other star players from other clubs in the national team. And therefore, on that level, Vini Junior for me has never kind of performed in the Seleção the way he's done for Real Madrid. He's never kind of been that personality, because for me on the Seleção level, I think his personal ambition or over ambition shines out. That he kind of been very introverted, very self-centric, very egocentric in that way. And that's why Brazilian teams with a lot of stars, they don't win titles, because a star needs to build a team. And that's where Rodri is completely different. He stands out at Man City. He yet kind of integrates nicely with the other stars at the Spanish national team and deservedly win the European title and many other titles before. So that's why for me, he fully deserves that. That's for the explanation level. And the same kind of category goes for the African player of the year. And I think obviously when you look at Ademola Lookman playing brilliantly at Atalanta, brought them kind of alone to the title with the goals in the final. He's got a great playing style, and he starts to deliver also on the domestic level, on the Super Eagle level, especially when it counted, and especially kind of the last few games. So for me, he's a very hot contender. Sergei Gurasi, absolutely great. I mean, his goals kind of brought VfB Stuttgart into the Champions League. He deserved the move to Borussia Dortmund, and obviously he shines. And obviously when you look on the game against Bayern Munich, he was a threat to the Bayern's defense all the time, all along, and couldn't have kind of kill the game or win the game for Dortmund in the home tie. So he's also one of them. But there is also, again, a few others, from other nations. When you look at Omar Mamouche, at Eintracht Frankfurt last 2 seasons, fantastic on club level. But in Africa, very often, I think what is kind of a little bit overrated are the strikers, because you always see the strikers because they make the headlines, you see the goals, and in Europe, obviously, you see the performance. Rodri is a defensive midfielder, he's a holding six or a playmaking eight, and they are much more important to bond the game. And I think media in Africa kind of very often lets the strikers shine because they score the goals, they decide the games, but nobody asks how many assists are there, or who runs the way, or who makes the tackles and protects the game. So therefore, I'm always a huge favor of a central midfielder, like Naby Keita, Ndidi, sort of those kind of players. They're coming from who control the game, who manage the game, and they don't see to share the light. Even and that's why I hope. That obviously we look at those players as well, in the lookout, and don't see like in the final top 10, 10 strikers.
While Mario is actually right, I think the player who has won the most African player of the year is actually a midfielder with Yaya Toure with 4 African Footballer of the Year. Although we don't get many notice with African midfielders, but probably one of the most decorated African midfielder, Yaya Toure, won 4 in a row. And when those midfielders tend to like shine, I think they do get their flowers and they're fully appreciated.
I understand, Habib's point, but I may beg to differ a bit because I think it's also the branding. Mind you, Algeria was playing the top clubs and all that, so there was always that, and he was shining there. But sometimes, if you look at it, to be honest, we just stick with the striker, who's playing the big club, and it's like we are acknowledging the fact that, with no offense to my country, I love Africa. So we don't make it to the top that matter when we have that one player who makes to the top, no matter what, they should be inside. Because we tend to overlook a lot of players and impact. And that's how football is played here. The flashy person, the star winger who do some skills and score the goal. But we forget maybe there's a 6 who's orchestrating everything. I think that's what European football does. Watches those things more. Algeria was playing for these clubs and was always at the limelight. So it was easy for him to win those 4. But compared to other midfielders who may have probably been able to have a case as AFCON, even do Algeria's, yes, they wouldn't be given an eye because where do you play for? So I think that's also one thing. That's why usually the short list is always like yes. Because why is Brahim Diaz in the conversation? Because he played for Madrid or played for AC Milan. They're way better. I don't think he's even in the top 5, but he will be in the top 5 because yes, he plays for Madrid and he's a flashy.
You have a very fantastic point there, Marcus. And one of the things that have disappointed me in the African Footballer of the Year award was when a player from Al Ahly dominated the whole of Africa and also defeated, like rings round all of these players coming from Europe. But instead of giving him the African Footballer of the Year, they created something called the African Base Award. And just so to prove my point, after they did all that whitewash, now that award does not exist anymore, as if nobody's playing. I'm talking about Mohamed Aboutrika. Aboutrika, conquered Africa in the CAF Champions League, conquered in the Nations Cup back to back. I'm 46 years. I'm going to be in the next 24 days. I'm going to be 46 years old, right? In my following of football, there is no player, not Abedi Pele, not Austin Jejo Okocha, not Mikel Obi, not Kanu Wankwo, no African player have impacted Africa, not Yaya Toure, not Didi Drogba, not Kalusha Boualia, Benedict McCarthy, name them, can lace the boot of Mohamed Aboutrika if it comes to impacting African football the way he did. But guess what? CAF systematically decided, you know what, now he doesn't play Europe, let's create one small miniature sub-award for him. Just shake his hand, put him in the picture, but give the award to European players. China, do you think that it is time that CAF says to the world, or say to themselves in their Congress and say, you know what, the best player in the CAF Champions League that have also done well for their national team, whether they are playing in Africa or not, should also deserve to be nominated among the best of African players that are playing in Europe? Because the way I see it, to win the African Footballer of the Year, you have to play in Europe, which doesn't make sense as far as I'm concerned. China?
I think it's easy to say it, but Mario's Europe has taken over the world football, and there's little you can do about it. Now, everyone wants to play like Europeans. The Africans want to play like Europeans, the South Americans want to play like Europeans, the Asians want to play like Europeans. Football is like Europe is the center of football. They have all the football money, they have everything. Everyone wants to go there. Now, for your idea, first thing you should ask is, how many people watch the CAF Champions League in Africa as compared to how many of us in Africa watch the European Champions League? I work in an organization where in June of every year, we hold a viewing party for the European Champions League. We get a massive crowd. If we do that for the CAF Champions League, it's probably just me and a few friends there. So what glamour has CAF put to the Champions League? And you can't even blame CAF anymore. You can't blame South Americans. You can't blame the Asians. You can't blame, because we are all Eurocentric. So it's going to be very difficult, my good friend. Very difficult.
How do we change it?
I don't see that happening anytime soon.
But how do we change it? So you know how I wrote something on my status before the show started. I said, everything is impossible until someone goes to do it. But why is that someone not you, though? I don't believe that anything is impossible.
In the 70s.
Before he answers how to change it, could I just, maybe give me a food for thought in terms of the standards and watch parties? Well, for my end in Ghana, we used to watch the CAF Champions League, but the quality and the standard has dropped. Mind you, Alali, those times, Zamalek, Kotoko has, and there's Nigerian teams making the semifinal. It was a big deal in Putu and all those guys. There were quality players that made it, very nice to watch. It was a lovely sight. We would actually also have watch parties for Afghan football. But now, what is the quality? You are the players that can know that their ability was gone at the days of the Abu Chikens, the Steven Joe from Kotoko and co. So the glamour is still Europe because the standards have still remained and have developed, whilst ours have dropped. We had the foundation to build from, and we didn't. So is it more or less we shooting ourselves in the foot than more big that European football as a monopoly with Cambridge? Because we are also wasting what we have here.
So how do we fix it? That's the question.
We start from the grassroots, but I'm just saying it, but implementation, I don't know how we'll fix it. I guess we just have to reset. That's what I can say.
We've given up, and it's crazy, but we've given up so much of what it's supposed to be ours. And first off, I'm not even blaming Europe, because Europe, my mom used to say that the rich will not stop being rich so that the poor will play catch up. You have to work very hard. You have to give it your all. Somebody have 1 million subscribers on their YouTube channel. The guy is not going to go on his channel and say, please stop subscribing to my channel. Go and subscribe to Elegote TV Sports so that he catches up before we. No, he will be aiming for 1 billion. Just the same way, I'm not going to say, oh, somebody who's just starting people should stop subscribing. Now, so that's the life is you climbing, but you have to grind on your own. We must figure out what we can do in Africa. I'm not going to be here blaming Mario's Europe. They are doing what they are doing.
Matthew, I think it goes beyond football. Now, just like every job we do, we are in our jobs to make money, to have a better life. Now, you look at most African countries, economy is poor already. So a lot of Africans already want to go away from Africa just to live better lives. Let's leave the footballers first. Engineers, lawyers, doctors, they want to go out of Africa to get a better life first. So you have our poor economies. That means the footballers know that they can't play on good pitches. They can't make enough money in Africa. So they are going somewhere where they can make more money, play on better pitches, get more exposure. They go to France, go to Belgium, they go to Afghanistan, they go to wherever they want to go. So already your best players are leaving. Now from 1983, I hardly missed a game in the CAF Champions League that was on TV. I hardly missed a game from 1983. hardly did I miss a game. These days, I turn on my TV to watch the CAF Champions League. I can't recognize anybody. I can't understand what's going on there because the best legs are no longer here. So it goes beyond football. It's about, listen, what are we really doing in Africa? And like we said, Europe will not stop and wait for us.
No way.
They're going to keep doing their own thing. So that's Mario there. They're enjoying it.
Wait, I don't know if China can probably answer this question. I think the last time I watched CAF Champions League was when Heartland was in the semi-final. I think, what year was that?
Heartland and Kano Pillars.
Heartland was semi-final. They played Kano Pillars, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I can't remember.
That was 2009, I think.
2008, 2009, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the last time I saw a CAF Champions League game. And I don't know, it always bothers me as to why probably European games are more accessible in Africa than probably African games to Africans. I don't understand that.
I think I would promise to take this conversation to CAF and see how it goes. Hopefully, that's why I've been pushing to have a conversation with the president of CAF, Patrice Motsepe. These are some of the questions I want to raise with him. I mean, it's not just enough to travel around. It's not just enough to make big speeches. It is about asking yourself, when you were growing up, what were you watching? Now you are in charge. What are the people watching from behind? If the people who are coming behind not watching what you're selling, how is anybody going to be interested in African football? Because it's a big conversation we need to have. Truth be told, football is not as lucrative as a lot of people think. It is the 1% of the 1% that makes it to Europe. The biggest pool, the big employment pool is still in Nigeria, in Africa, in Ghana, in South Africa, because I mean, every season you have in the league, for instance, in the 20-team league, as it is in Nigeria or in the Premier League, in Nigeria, for instance, you have players, plus or minus, is between 800 to 1,000 people that you employ. But in a year, you cannot have 100 players go to Europe. As a matter of fact, in 10 years, you can have up to 100 players go to Europe. So if we're not working out to develop our own, you look at Europe. What I like about Europe is, some time ago, Mario would have forgotten this. I interviewed David Dean. And it was a big deal over here. Like, if you're able to interview, and I shared the link with Mario. And that was the biggest learning moment for me. I shared the link with Mario, and Mario's like, who's this guy? And I was taken aback. Like, you don't know David Dean? And my first reaction, I didn't type it, was, you don't know David Dean? What do you know? And then he occurred to me, the man has got the German Bundesliga to focus on, which is his thing. He doesn't have any business with who runs a club in the Premier League unless it is a business thing. If not, his focus is the league and how they play in the Champions League. I'm sure if he's not even doing this whole UEFA statistics thing, he doesn't care, right? Which is the right thing to do. But for us, we could name, I know a young man here who work with me, who can name the Chelsea first 11, their reserve team, their under-23 team, the under-17, the coaches, the doctors, the backroom staff, the female team. I'm talking about Ogana, Myro, Nathaniel. And sometimes I'm like, whoa. But then I was once like that too. I could name Aya's team, 95, the reserve, everything. But we can't do that of our own team. So it's something that we need to change the orientation. And it goes back to what I was discussing with Mario, that the clubs need to engage the community. People need to be involved in finding a ways to to connect the club to the community. It's a series we've done over the last two sections where I ask about the social media engagement and all that. But having said that, let's come to Mario again. Mario, what is wrong with Manchester City? It is bad enough to say, what's it called? Rodri is injured. If Ruben Dias is injured. This one, that one. But it seems like the soul has left the body. I saw Kevin De Bruyne playing yesterday, and he just so disinterested, doesn't want to play. It seems like the players are rebelling and looking for how to fire the coach. This is my opinion. I might be wrong. What's your take?
No, I mean, the players don't want to fire the coach. That's for me quite certain. But the players want to urge the coach to kind of change his tactics and style, because you see, when the machine is floating, every player takes a different position. and the machine is floating because everybody knows what to do. Everybody plays and relies on. I mean, when you play with your teammates, Edafa, in your playing styles, you know how this, yeah, how the right back is moving, how the left back is moving, how the front wing is moving, or how the center striker is moving, and you
Yeah.
place the ball exactly in that ballway. So now obviously you have the engine, yeah, struggling, yeah, the defensive or the holding six or the central eight, yeah, which is obviously the backbone of everything, who moves the players around. So obviously you can. What I noticed yesterday was obviously all the players try to do exactly the same like they did 6 months ago, 3 months ago, when everything was working and functioning and everything was fantastic. But at the moment, because everybody's eager not to make a mistake, yeah, you make that extra mile and you that extra effort, and you're bound to make mistakes. And there were spaces, yeah, which Liverpool found when the rotation shifted, which doesn't work. So obviously Pep Guardiola is not only struggling with Ruben Dias. I mean, Kyle Walker for me was yesterday kind of not existing in the game. Yeah, none of his strength, only his weaknesses kind of appeared because he kind of played the game, yeah, which City had 3 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, yeah, when they didn't lose. But at the moment, obviously, City needs stability. Every player needs to hold positions. Every player needs to kind of make sure that first of all we defend the own goal. We keep the back. We keep the goal. We keep the goal dry for the opponent, and then our quality is good enough to score a dirty 1-0 winner. That's what City needs at the moment, because obviously every player asks themselves, why doesn't it work anymore? Every player tries to make his best effort to succeed, and because you're so eager, you're meant to fail. And we have to go back to basics. Yeah, football is a simple game where the coach kind of places the players. And I think Pep Guardiola needs to take a step back. He kind of said that he found a solution. I don't think he really has yet. But what I urge him to do is like tell the players, yeah, you're the right back, you're the left back, you're the back four, you stay on your positions. Yeah, you defend your heart out, that we keep a clean sheet, and everybody else kind of still moves around. But he needs stability in this moment, because you could see when Cody Gakpo scored the first goal for Liverpool, there were heads going down because the players didn't know how to respond. They wanted to have a clean sheet, but they didn't manage. So go back to basics.
Okay. Abib, your club is flying high and it's looking like the Amorim crusade is going to be here for a long while. One of the things that I love about football clubs is in the days where you're not doing well, how do you play? How do you come out? Man United are not squashbuckling here. They are not beating everybody, tearing them apart. But the 9 clean sheet this season already, and the way they are going with Amorim now, it seems like there seems to be a direction, just that they don't have enough fuel to run it through. And that direction is come out of the block very fast, hit the opposition on the counter, play through Amand Diallo, and then get it to the forward, whether it's Joshua Zexi, Rashford, and the rest, and we will score. If it's not coming through Ahmad, it's coming through Bruno Fernandes. And then the left side, if not really found a solution to that side, still a bit confusing, but eventually they are going somewhere. So my take on you is, from here on, Bobby didn't answer this question last time out. From here on, how long before we start seeing what the real Man United under Amorim will look like?
Okay, first of all, I've been looking at Marcus's face. He wants to squash the bubble, the happiness that Manchester United fans are feeling. Well, that's another conversation for another day. I don't think he wants us to be happy, but you can't stop the
You can't
happiness
help
of
it right now.
yeah.
I mean, I hope the PG will allow me, but this is just premature ejaculation. So I'm watching you. We'll see.
I understand. Well, but first of all, how long before we start to see the Ruben Amorim's ideal template? First, I don't think they've had enough time to like train, to be honest. Most of their training session is probably just recovery. And Ruben said it himself, he's just showing them clips and tapes of what he expects them to do. I don't think there's enough time for them to actually train and implement the ideas. Well, one thing is clear, the players are starting to take on the message Ruben Amorim is trying to pass. But yesterday, they scored lots of goals, and the manager said in the press conference that we should focus on the performances instead of the results. Yes, the results are important. To be honest, I wasn't too impressed with the gameplay yesterday. They scored lots of goals. If you were to analyze it, it's probably lots of forced errors. It's not like Manchester United actually created chances, genuine chances. Yeah, you can create chances from forcing the opponent to give you the ball, and you can attack those spaces created from the opponents and their mistakes. But I don't think there was a situation where Manchester United really walked the ball and created some chances. It's good, yeah, the result is good.
The arrogance, yeah.
It's fantastic, but to be honest, it's not where we want to be as Manchester United fans. It's not where we want to be as like football lovers who grew up watching Manchester United win everything. As a Manchester United fan, I've seen Manchester United win everything. There's nothing I haven't seen Manchester United win. From the Champions League to the Premier League to the FA Cup to the Europa League.
You're bloody
I've seen them
arrogant.
do everything. Beating Everton 4-0 is not to be hyped about. When we do the 21, yes, that's something.
Who is this guy? Who is he?
China, this is the real bastard that you should be calling. You said, me, they call bastard. You see the real bastard. The real bastard. Small boy,
First of all,
I see the arrogance.
First of all, I've seen my club win more Premiership than China has ever seen Liverpool win a Premier League.
Oh my God. I'm done. I'm not in this streets. I'm out of this road. Marcus, let me come to you before I go to China. Marcus, you have 1 minute to do because I have a 3 minutes time for China. What more does Chelsea needs to add to this team? Because we keep saying they're not doing well. They win every game they play. I can't remember the last time Chelsea lost a match. What more do they need to add?
Stability. It's already too cold. We need to freeze everywhere. But I think weekend's performance was one of the more complete performances I've seen from Chelsea on all facets. Even Sanchez. And I think Sanchez is really, really a hypocrite. Whenever Jorgensen has a good game, he comes up to the good game. So it's hard to bench him. But it was a complete performance. And if you can keep this going, the guarantee still remains. Liverpool, watch out for us.
Okay, so talking about Liverpool watching out. Liverpool, let me come to you. Everything is fine now. And the thing about life is, if you agree with me, the most time to be careful is when everything is fine. There's just this air of invisibility that comes when you're winning, but there's a ruffle, there's a storm coming. China, how do you handle the storm? Every game, Mo Salah is the Mo show now. It's moments with Mo right now. But we're already hearing that he's in talks with Paris Saint-Germain. January is 28 or 29 days away. And it looks like they are not going to agree in terms. Trent Alexander-Arnold to Real Madrid is a major talking point. Virgil van Dijk's contract is another major talking point. These three players leave. I don't know what's going to happen because currently they are the three main core of the team. What do you have to say? You have 2 minutes and the show is over. So take it home.
If they eventually don't have an agreement on a contract extension and they have to leave, you understand that they will end the season with us at least and go on a free. It's not like they'll leave in January unless a fee is paid. So they will most likely end the season with us and leave in May or June next year. And we can deal with that. Like I've told Liverpool fans all over the world, FSG picked the club from a very difficult position. A lot of choices they've made has worked for the club so far, and I will trust their judgment. So if whatever they're discussing with Salah, Trent, and VVD, yes, we want them to stay. But for whatever reason they don't stay, I just want to believe that in June next year, in the summer of next year, we're going to get replacements. I mean, we lost Kevin Keegan in 1977. We thought that was the end of the world. Or got Kenny Dalglish. We lost McManaman in 93, 94. We thought that was the end of the world. But all of a sudden...
Well, I get that. I get that feeling. That feeling of this club know how to replace its best. But it's not one player that they're losing now. It's three players that they just might lose in the same window. What's it called? My brother Marcus have said is premature ejaculation. It just might be the case anyway. But as a roundup, I would say if you follow the MPFL, watch out for that club called Ikorodu City. They came up and said they just